Can you speak a little more on that?
Yeah, totally.
And like why you chose that, I guess?
Totally. So that's a really good question. So during probably my sophomore year of college is when I really started getting into environmental sustainability, and that became a lot more important to me. One, because I find it very fulfilling. And then two, the motivation for environmental sustainability is just kind of like we're looking at how we use water and get our energy, and it's always striving to how can we make these systems better? How can we improve these systems?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, just kind of on a personal scale, like really being intentional about personal growth is something really important to me. And so I really like that the idea of environmental sustainability, they take that approach that I use on a kind of a microscopic scale in my life and put it on a societal macroscopic scale. And so I kind of like that ever increasing stride for improvement. And so I saw like a flyer at Hope College that they're putting on TEDx Hope College, a Hope College event. And they had a thing that you could sign up to be a volunteer there, and I emailed them. I was like, I don't want to be a volunteer, but I want to give a TED talk really bad.
Yeah.
And so like I applied for it and gave like a 5-minute brief talk on what I was going to talk about. And unfortunately, I was the got accepted to do it, and that was the first year Hope College put on a TEDx event, and I was the first speaker of the first TEDx Hope College talk, which was really fun. And might be paraphrasing it, but the title of the talk was How Diet Can Combat the Climate Crisis,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And so I focus on how, what we choose to eat on a daily basis has a lot of environmental impacts and I proposed a couple strategies we can do to try to, consume food that's a little bit more environmentally friendly and a little less resource dependent.
Yeah.
And so then when I was making my decision to come to graduate school, I was really kind of still had that sustainability focus. And I knew that was something that's very prevalent at Colorado State University's campus with the School of Global and Environmental Sustainability. They have an entire school devoted towards sustainability. And so I really wanted to get involved with that. And so I started talking to the people that work there, and they said that there's kind of, for graduate students, involvement is kind of limited to very specific programs they have to apply to and things that, you can't do until you're, a third or fourth year in your PhD program. And so I kind of wanted to start something that any graduate student, regardless if they're a master's student, if they're a PhD student, regardless if they've been a PhD student for 1 year or 7 years, that they could hop on and try to get involved in. And so that's kind of the reason why I got involved with the School of Global and Environmental Sustainability at CSU.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there multiple speakers when you did that TED event, or was it just you?
Yeah, there was 10 total speakers.
And you were the first to come up? Nice.
Yep.
How'd that feel to be the first spearhead of the whole thing?
It was wicked. I was really excited and very nervous. I had done like musicals and stuff like that in high school. And so it's funny to kind of have that energy back. And I knew I was the first person to go. And so you want to make sure you go out there and do a good job and, not bomb as the first speaker of this event, kind of set the mood in a bad way. And so I practiced that TED Talk so much. It was, I got close contacted for like a COVID-19 case. So I got sent back home to my house. And so I was at my home for like the weeks leading up to it. And so I just practiced that in the mirror just every single day. And so I went up and I was super stoked and super focused and ready. And my presentation is very slide dependent because I put up a lot of, results of different studies and a lot of information. And so when I went to use the clicker to change the first slide, I was like, and as you can see in this graph, and the clicker didn't work, and my heart just sunk. And so what would happen is, for some reason, the clicker wasn't working. And so the people backstage, they could, see me through the cameras and stuff. And so I would just be very obvious with my motion of like, and, on this slide, and then they could go back there and change the slide. And so we had a couple technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But they did an excellent job of editing those out in the video. So the video is pretty smooth and pretty flawless. So I went backstage and was a little upset that we encountered some technical difficulties, but everything that I could have controlled, I think it did a good job. And that was, that was a real, probably one of my favorite things I did in college. It was a very, very cool experience.
Do you think that was a turning point for you, like within yourself personally, like having that event? Like, do you think that kind of shaped you or pivoted you a little bit?
That's a really good question. I think it was the culmination of a lot of different things I did in college, kind of in one instance.
Okay.
So kind of my development on being interested in sustainability and specifically how diet can affect that. So there was that aspect. And there was also, in college, I tried to be a little bit more of an extroverted person, kind of ironically once the pandemic hit and we were kind of coming back to school, like just that much introversion was just not healthy for me. And so it was a really cool moment to kind of blossom out of the pandemic and do something like this that I had to do a lot of work to prepare for. And there were a lot of high stakes with it, because you're in a very public setting and you could mess up and everyone's going to see it. And but I find with the kind of personality I have, it's those kinds of things I find most fulfilling and the most genuinely fun. Whether that be, like rock climbing, like there are consequences to that, and like playing guitar and stuff, like things can go wrong and it can turn into a bad situation. But if they don't, it's super fun. I think it's that kind of payoff that really helped. And I think the TED Talk kind of helped seal that kind of perspective that I have on things that I try to pursue, try to do things that are kind of difficult at first, but then they're super really fun when it pays off.
Yeah. So almost just the act of putting yourself out there kind of shaped you and made you a little different. What about when you were pursuing this information? When you're putting together all the statistics and the slides and how to present it and everything like that, did that kind of change you, or did you already kind of know this would be a topic I would do if I had a stage? Or what was that like for you?
Yeah, so I definitely knew I wanted to talk about it, but the real main difficulty was how to present this information. Because it can be challenging to try to encourage people to make different lifestyle alterations. And so I really tried to be careful about how I presented it, because it is something I'm really passionate about and it is really important, with especially just like water scarcity and resource scarcity that we have going on in the United States. Like it was something I wanted to make sure that people understood the weight of the situation, the importance of the problem, but without being too much of like a downer, and then also trying to just try not to use it as like a soapbox moment where you could and so that was kind of difficult. So that was probably the hardest part, was trying to, how do I want to craft this story and how to encourage people to make these lifestyle alterations without coming across as like really pretentious or perhaps ignorant or arrogant.
Hey everybody, if you like that clip, go ahead and go down into the description below and find the full podcast if you want to watch the whole thing. And if not, hop to the next video or onto the channel and find another clip that interests you. I'll see you in the next one.